on this. Should he be punished, and if so, how? Beckham?
I think he should be punished. I think he should be fined.
Okay.
I don't think that he should be suspended. If you do suspend him, then I think there's a bunch of other guys that should get suspended also. And people say, oh, you know, he was targeting him. Well, anybody who says that he was targeting Josh Norman, I would say, I agree. And I would say, and let me turn your attention to the Steelers playing the Denver Broncos and introduce you to Cody Wallace and watch him target David Bruton. Because you know what happened to David Bruton? He got knocked out yesterday. Okay?
Yeah,
he got knocked out.
Yep.
So why isn't everyone going crazy about Cody Wallace, who, by the way, has been fined before for something nasty that he did to Randy Starks in a game against the Miami Dolphins? Is there's a lot of eyeballs, and Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are calling the game, and they're a little bit outraged by it, and so now all of a sudden everyone joins in. The truth is there are hits like that every single weekend, and so I think to suspend him for it, there's just zero consistency if you're not going to do the same thing for all of the other targeting hits that happen.
Okay, but I don't know the background of the Cody Wallace one, but I don't know if it was retaliation or was it just out of control play.
Cleaning the pile?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Odell did. Clean the pile.
But I mean, clearly he was trying to get even for a lot of fisticuffs that had taken place up to that point.
Yeah, I mean, right. But if you're suspending him, you're not suspending. If you're suspending Odell Beckham, you're not suspending him because he, grabbed Josh Norman's ankle and he had some shoving matches throughout the day. You're not suspending him for that. No. You're suspending him because you thought that he went headhunting. That's why you're suspending him. Yeah. You guys just watched it. What was Cody Wallace doing?
It looks the same.
Was he headhunting? Because David Bruton got knocked out. He got hit in the head and he got knocked out.
Well,
go ahead.
Here's my problem with what you're saying. Then suspend Cody Wallace.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean...
I'm saying if you suspend him, just be consistent across the board.
Well, we don't disagree there. You're absolutely right. People may not have been paying attention to Cody Wallace.
But here's the thing, just quickly.
Sure.
That was a big game, too.
Yeah, it was.
That's the #1 CBS team doing that game.
No question.
Probably more eyeballs on it, right?
Right. But, again, we also talk about popularity. We talk about the stars and how the stars shine, the lights shine brightest on those stars. So I totally agree with you about the consistency. Please don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is when you look at Odell Beckham Jr., how he had personalized matters, how he went headhunting on that particular play, because I don't think anything else that happened in the game between those two warranted the suspension. Penalties, potentially a fine, but nothing warranted a suspension other than Odell Beckham Jr. sitting. Now, to me, if you want to say that others should be suspended as well for doing the same thing, I'm good. I don't believe that you can let Odell Beckham Jr. get a pass on what we saw yesterday, because I thought that hit, as visual as it was, epitomizes everything that the league claims it is trying to eradicate from the game of football. They've been fixated on that issue and the manner in which he was playing most of the afternoon.
But you can't include that stuff in suspending him. If you're going to say, we're trying to get this out of the game,
right,
I would agree with you. They're trying to get that out of the game. That's one of the reasons. Like that rule was like you probably remember. It's like the John Runyon rule.
Yep.
You know, Runyon would come flying down the field. If you were standing around the pile, like there's a shot that your head was going to get taken off.
But the flip side to that, Tim, is that I've heard you on many occasions bring up intent as well. And what I'm saying to you,
what was Wallace doing?
Oh, yeah, I got you. Again, I'm not refuting any of that. I'm simply saying that when we look at Odell Beckham Jr., we're not just looking at the hit itself. You have to take all of those other actions into consideration because it speaks to potential intent, which I've heard you guys allude to, because I defer to a lot of y'all with what you're saying. So I'm saying if you could look at Odell Beckham Jr.'s intent and surmise that he had malintent when it came to that particular hit, that also contributes to really exacerbating a situation and making sure that you highlight the punishment because you want to use things to serve as a deterrent. We can point to an abundance of transgressions that have nothing to do with on-the-field acts that individuals have obviously done wrong. And what we'll do is say, okay, well, that's a good point. And because they're in the limelight and because their transgressions are so obvious, you've got people that'll pounce on them because they use them as a battle cry to highlight what you shouldn't be doing in hopes that it will serve as a deterrent. With Odell Beckham Jr., because he is who he is, because Josh Norman is who he is, because the Carolina Panthers are who they are, because Cam Newton is who he is, it just highlights and elevates the level of spotlight that has been placed on them, which is why it's even more important to make sure you send that message. I don't disagree with you with what you're saying about Cody and all of that. It's just that you can't let Odell Beckham Jr. off the hook without a suspension in this debate.
But then so go ahead, if you're going to suspend him, like that's my thing, is that we are only focusing on him. And I get it. It's the limelight, it's these star players, and in many it's the finesse players, right? They're not, the big uglies. But you have to be consistent. You can't. You can't fine and punish players differently.
I get it.
You're right.
We're focused on the escalation up to that point, when I think everybody today would agree he should have been ejected for the head-hunting retaliation shot, helmet to helmet, of an unsuspecting Josh Norman at the pile. That's ejectable, and he was not ejected. In all my years of following professional football, I have never seen this happen before, where they are fist fighting on nearly every play away from the ball. They're just fist fighting. They're just throwing haymakers at each other. And not enough flags were thrown, not enough policing took place, where Terry McCauley, the head referee, or somebody just said, we will stop this with 15-yard penalties if that's what we have to do. So to me, if you're going to suspend him, as I said earlier in the show, you got to suspend this crew also, because it's hypocritical. It's hypocritical to say, oh, it's their fault and we got to suspend Odell. No, you need to suspend the crew. They let it just run amok. It went completely out of control and out of hand. And last quick point is, it's because this league has blessed Odell Beckham Jr. He's become almost untouchable. And I think the refs are reaching for their flags and thinking, wait a minute, it's ODB, cover a Madden. He's like the human video game come to life. He has become a promotional priority of the National Football League, right up there with any quarterback to me. And I think they're hesitant to punish him on the field because he's such a lightning rod part of the promotion of the game. So you're not going to eject him because he's Odell Beckham Jr.
I don't know if they're afraid to flag him. I did think he should have been flagged for taunting on the touchdown catch. I mean, I think it could have been worse. Here's what I would say. I agree in terms of punishing the crew. You want an example of a crew handling it the right way when things get to that fisticuffs, situation? I got one for you. Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson. Guess what happened? They went after it on one play. The very next play, helmets are being ripped off. Andre Johnson is putting a beat down on Cortland Finnegan, and guess what happened? Both guys got ejected. Now, guess what else happened? Guess how many suspensions were handed out?
How many?
0. $25K each guy. So, but now we need to suspend Odell Beckham Jr. What I'm saying is, like, they were 0, and I understand the climate's different. That was 5 years ago.
Right.
But the officials handled that situation right. It escalated. See you later.
That was punishment enough.
And guess what? And so now you've been ejected, and so now it's over. Now we've handled it, and you can't keep the nonsense going.
It's fair for you to bring that up because we were talking about it earlier, and one of the things that I negated to tell you is that, and I'll tell you as well, according to what I'm hearing, Odell Beckham Jr. has told a few people that Josh Norman threatened him before the game and, was threatening to take his knees out and stuff like that. So it was just that kind of...
But that happens...
I hear you, but he was threatening them. I just want to throw that out in fairness to Odell Beckham Jr. The flip side, to get to what you were pointing to, Tim, is that I draw a distinction between two guys faced up, swinging at one another, with their helmets on, getting into a fight. I find that to be different than, you launching your helmet into Josh Norman. I think there is a difference between those two things. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, which is probably why it was easier for the officials to toss Andre and Cortland Finnegan. Helmets were off, and Andre had landed a couple punches, and that's clearly against the rules, and it's easily, you can eject the guy. I would say that I think there was plenty of things going on between both guys, and I don't think there's any question that Odell Beckham was much further in the wrong than Josh Norman was. But we seem to keep coming back to, but he's launching himself into the head of another player. We're getting that out.
That's where I'm
And
at.
I would say to you is that, when I knew I was coming on, I said, okay, off the top of my head, I can give you the Cody Wallace play now. Let me go back and watch the other games. We find a bunch, guys.
Right.
We'll find a bunch of those plays.
But what,
so if you're going to do it, like, you're going to suspend 7 guys for this weekend.
Last quick point. Last quick point. Do you draw a difference, a distinction between defensive linemen and linebackers doing something like that as opposed to a wide receiver and a cornerback getting into it where a wide receiver would do that?
There shouldn't be a distinction. If you're cleaning off the pile, I don't care if you're a running back, a receiver, a tight end, an offensive lineman. If you're cleaning off the pile, you're a football player doing the same thing.
Okay, just in conclusion, really quick, you have an issue with the helmet-to-helmet thing. It should be a 1-game suspension.
Yep.
You say just a fine because we see things just as egregious with Cody Wallace, and Skip brings up the point that repercussions should also be addressed towards the officials as well.
We all agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have a tweet
No punishments for you guys, though.
No, not these two. These two little angels. We got a tweet here from Prime, though, I want to get in. I wish I could bring the real, can we get that tweet up here, with @Stephen A. Smith and real Skip Bayless today on First Take about Odell Beckham and Josh Norman, #truth. So, Prime, we wish you were here, too, to join in on the conversation.
I thought you guys had an open invite for him. No?
He always has an open invite.
I was going to say.
But he, you know, prime time is prime. He want to be in L.A. He want to be in Dallas. He want to be in New York. Bristol, it's got to be special.
Someone else
it's got to be special.
I didn't know that. You just described
Thank you. Skip and I see an eye to eye. Tim, thank you so much for being with us. That was great insight. Up next, the Redskins were the only NFC East team to win this weekend. So how do they feel about it?
You like that?